Imagine living forever, and forever is the year 2020. That would really suck, wouldn't it? Luckily, the Old Guard doesn't suck. Look at that beautiful sedgeberry in there. Not quite. So anyway, the Old Guard arrived on Netflix a couple of days ago, and I sat down with my cauldron of glass of red wine. Cauldron of glass cauldron of red wine. Why not? And I didn't really enjoy it, to be honest with you. I watched it, I was like, okay, cool. Charlize Theron, absolutely awesome. She's really, really cool. This new actress, Kiki, oh god, I have to check her name. She was really good too. I was worried that she'd be too young, but Kiki Lane as Niall Freeman, she was really great. She's a kick-ass actress. As she actually plays this character called Niall, who is a soldier. She gets killed in Afghanistan, and holy shit, she comes back to life because they're all fucking immortal. Well, not all of them, but 4 of them are. You got Charlize Theron, who plays Andy. Her real name is Andromedash of Scythia. That's quite a cool name. I would like to be known as Nicholas Alexander Ray of the Cape Town. But Cape Town kind of sucks because it's not really a name of a city. It's actually a geographical location, which became the name of a city. Anyway, completely irrelevant to what I'm talking about right now. And then we got Niall Freeman, who, as I mentioned, she's this kick-ass character and soldier, and yet she gets killed. We also then have Mathis Schoenerantz as Booker, or Sebastian Deliver, Marwan Kenzari as Joe, Luca Miriani as Nikki. All these people have really complicated names. Chitwell Asianfor as James Copley. I like it. Well, he's awesome. And Harry Melling as Steve Merrick. Oh, dear God. Merrick.
If we can unlock their genetic code, the entire world will be begging us for the key.
Who developed this character? He's basically this pharmaceutical businessman with an army who makes a lot of money from selling drugs, like cancer drugs, to keep people alive. Now he wants to harvest the organs of immortals to make better drugs to keep people alive, basically because he wants money. But he has so much money anyway. Why would you want to go and kill immortals for? Yeah. Anyway, his character is fucking awful. He's a caricature. He literally giggles at some scenes. Towards the end, he holds an axe as if he's going to fight off immortals with it. I don't know what that was about. He's horrible in this. Every scene with him will make you drink even more horrible red wine. Oh, and yeah, he's bad. The rest of them are really, really good. Like I say, Kiki, she's really great, and Charlize Theron is amazing. I can't believe Charlize Theron just keeps getting hotter and hotter. She's a really, really beautiful looking woman. Maybe it's like wine. As you get older, get more mature. So the movie, what's it about? Basically, at the beginning, as we found out, Niall, played by Kiki, Kai, dies. She gets killed, murdered by a terrorist as she was actually trying to save him. Asshole. So she gets cut in the neck, dies, comes back to life. They all have a joined dream kind of thing, because that's what immortals do, apparently. They all share dreams when another one comes along. And because there's a new one, and she's not part of the troop, they want to get her and bring her in, because if the baddies, the special forces who belong to Merrick, is it Merrick? Steve Merrick, I hate him! Steve's basically trying to get all of them, so they want to bring her in and keep her safe so that they don't get her, because if they get her, they can track the other ones. And while this is all going on, the main team are lured into a trap, basically, by an asshole whose character, this is played by Chitwell, James Copley. He's a CIA guy, and his motivations are so poor in this movie. It's another reason why I got irritated. The writing in this is not great, which is weird, because the writing in it is actually done by the guy, Greg Rucka, who wrote the comics. Yeah, stick to comics, not screenplays. Get somebody else in for the screenplays, because a lot of the characters in this did things that made no sense. Not only did Steve have zero motivation as a bad guy to do what he's doing, but you also had people like James Copley, who just, he gets them fucked over badly. He really messes them up kind of thing. And then he's like, but I know you guys are really good. I just wanted to do it. His wife died of ALS, apparently, the character, obviously. And so he wants to get these immortals to harvest them so he can make humanity better. But he then says to them later in the movie that he knows that what they've been doing generations later is amazing. So his character has... What? It's like, what? So you know that what they're doing helps people, but now you want to kill them to help people. Yeah, don't look at the plot for this. So that's the plot, not particularly great. That being said, the characters themselves are actually quite great. The character development is really good in this. So as I mentioned, you've got this troop run by, or led by Andy, who's apparently a 6,000-year-old immortal. This is Charlize Theron's character. And underneath her, you have these other guys. As I mentioned, you've got Niall, but she comes later. You've got Booker, Joe, and Nikki. And it's really, really great because they go into each character's sort of backstory a bit. Like, for example, I think it's Joe and Nikki. They're actually lovers, and they met each other on the battlefields of the Crusades, and they killed each other multiple times before sort of falling in love. And they have this whole backstory thing, which is great. They go into what it is to love another man because they're getting sort of ostracized because they get kidnapped or caught. And the guys are like, yeah, you guys are guys and you kiss. Because, they're retarded bigots. And they go into this whole little story about what it's like to love a person like this, his lover, and it was really well done. I loved that. That was really cool. So they did a really great job of actually fleshing out the characters in this. Good job. That was cool. Liked that very much. Just didn't like the plot because it's silly. And that was great, like I say. So that was quite cool. The characters are quite nice. Just don't think about the motivations because half the time they don't make sense. The actual movie itself is sort of structured in a two-parter. You have the opening act, which is an hour. It's a long movie. It's 2 hours and 2 minutes, I think. So the first hour is basically them kind of like training, the whole mentor thing, which is awesome. And then the last half, not so great. Great action, but we'll get to that just now. And then the last half, which kind of falls apart as far as plot is concerned. So, yes, the first half, the action is brilliant in this. One of my favorite scenes was inside an aeroplane. The action is very much like John Wick, I would say. Very similar with the camera as far as the gun, knife, that kind of stuff. And then the camera quickly moving away to see the consequences of throwing a character over the shoulder, it lands on his head, that kind of thing. So it's very similar to John Wick in that. Unfortunately, it's also very brutal. Don't get me wrong, it's brutal. I like that kind of visceral fun. Forget about the 2020. And the problem with it, unfortunately, is that the camera is a very shaky cam, except for the airplane scene because that was quite cramped. So it's got a lot of shaky cam in it. I hate shaky cam with a passion of 1,000 stars. I really don't like it. And also, it seemed that the camera, they were using a technique where the camera is quite far away and the action takes place over there, but then they zoom in on it. So a lot of the scenes are cropped. It looks cropped anyway, which was a really weird choice to make. I don't understand that. I don't know if you were trying, if the director and the cinematographer was trying to make us feel like we were included in by zooming in from a distance, because you get that weird sort of almost fisheye if you do that. It didn't work a lot of the time though, and even in scenes where they were talking, most of the time Charlie's you don't see the top of her head. She's always cropped out, and I know that is done to sort of heighten tension and make us focus on her mouth and not the whole head kind of thing. But a lot of the time it was unnecessary and it didn't work very well. So even though the action was brilliant and it was some pretty cool action, I really did enjoy it. There's a scene at the beginning which you'll see in the trailer that kind of reminded me almost of Blade. And this is going to lead me quite nicely as a segue into the next complaint that I have about the movie. And it's a scene underground. They all get shot up and shit, then they come back to life. And that leads me into the Blade thing. So remember Blade back in the day? God, I don't know how many years ago. 20 years ago? Must be something like that now. That whole kind of thing. God, I'm sorry. I need a drink after that. So that, the whole that was cool. They had a scene underground. It's like an underground party with blood coming out the ceiling and Blade waving his fucking blades around and killing people to a really cool, sick beat. Funny enough, actually, that song is not actually in the fight. It's the setup to the fight. And then there's another techno beat in the background. And then I was thinking about it, so I was like, okay, there's something off with these fight scenes. And I couldn't put my finger on it until, I don't know, 3/4 of the way through. And then I realised it's because a lot of the action scenes, there's not that many, by the way. It's not as many as John Wick. There's like 4 main action beats, I'd say. Aeroplane, church, first scene with them all getting shot up, and then the last one, which goes on for quite a bit. But in a lot of them, in most of them actually, they have a sort of soundtrack that has singing in. And I've got a couple of examples of what I mean by how irritating this is. You don't consciously realise how distracting having a song sung by somebody while someone's having their face mashed in. When you watch John Wick, there's no "My heart will go." You probably need a drink now, don't you? There's no singing in it, so you can focus on the gritty crunching of bones and teeth and stuff like that. Having someone sing over a violent, thing going on in front of you kind of reminded me almost of like the James Bond openings, you get this sort of dramatic singing and whatnot with this weird abstract kind of shit. Some of them almost felt like that to me. Just watching them again. I've been watching them again today on YouTube. And it just, it didn't work. It did not work. Oh my God. So here's a quick example of it. Okay, so this scene takes place in an airplane. And I have to give kudos to the actresses, okay, to Charlize and to Kiki or Kai. They apparently trained for these scenes for months. And that's not to take away from both Marwan and Luca, who also apparently trained for months to get the action done. And it really does carry through. You can see that. So the action in this is pretty cool. However, the soundtrack, listen to this. Do you see what I'm saying? So there's this weird singing in the background, and it's on the sort of peripheral of your hearing, and you're not quite sure what the hell she's saying. I've actually watched her actual video, and I still don't know what the hell she's saying. This is by, I think her name is Chai, called Nobody Knows, sorry. It's a weird song. It's really out of my genre. I can't stand stuff like that. Anyway, so it doesn't work in this, and there's a lot of this throughout the movie. The main soundtrack is by Ruel, The World We've Made. That song is also used in the church scene where Charlize Theron kicks the shit out of, 20 guys. And it doesn't work. It really doesn't. So as an example of that, so you've just watched the one in the aeroplane. Let's have a look at John Wick. I'm going to use it as an example because the action in this is very similar to John Wick. This is, I think, from number 3, and there's sort of a techno beat in the background to keep you going, oh my God, the beat's fast so that we're getting our pumping blood, and there's no singing because you don't want to listen to someone in the background while you're watching someone being shot in the face. Have a check of this. You see what I'm saying? That works. He is violent, and you want to hear that violence being carried through, if you're trying to be violent, that is. And here's another example of when, you don't need to use music. It's very easy to leave music out. Here's another example, also John Wick. Probably one of my favorite fight scenes that I've seen in the last 10 years. Absolutely brutal. And again, no music. Now imagine if you got that song, and I'm going to do it. Now imagine if you got that song and stuck it into a John Wick scene. Feast your eyes and your ears while I get... watch. You watch. Well, now I'm partially shit-faced. That doesn't work, does it really? No, it doesn't work at all. It's crap. It makes me cringe. It makes the bits of my body I don't want to talk about shrink up even more than they already are. So that doesn't work. And that's where they kind of failed in this movie. They really fucked up when it came to the soundtrack, which is a real pity because I think the movie, it could have been so much better than it is right now. And that's what the problem with this movie is. I mean, it's sitting on something like 79, 80% on Rotten Tomato, which is, that's not bad at all. Certainly not better than Batman vs Superman. But the problem with it is it could have been polished and it could have been really great. A lot of people were comparing this to Extraction. No, this is nothing like Extraction. Extraction is hardcore, brutal violence. It's not trying to be stylized as far as putting hip-hop music in to appeal to a particular demographic, I'm assuming. I don't know. To the younger audience, I don't know. I don't know why you would do that because I haven't seen it in many shows. So, Extraction? No, not quite. It's almost Extraction. It's almost John Wick. It's almost as brutal as that, but doesn't get there quite because of, again, said problem with the music. Also with the plot. The plot, pretty thin. Character development, again, great. Plot, not so great. And again, almost got there. Rather leave the plot out. Extraction, that plot, what? Pick up kidnapped kid, and that was brilliant. Works. Sometimes little is more. And that's the problem with this movie, is that sometimes they just needed to sort of slow down or maybe think about not adding so much more into it. Like the story, they jumped around the time jumps, which actually kind of worked as well, to sort of show the past of Andy. But yeah, too much crammed in there, not too much development on the actual plot. As I mentioned 100 times now, the development of the characters is great, but the development of the plot made no sense halfway through the movie. What are we watching here? Are we watching a movie where you are training Nile to use her powers? Or are we watching a movie about immortals being harvested and having their bits sold? It's one or the other. It's difficult to have both unless you really dig down and come up with this tight story, which sadly they don't. So to me, and my brand new system of ranking movies, gold, silver, bronze, this is a silver. It's worth a watch. If I'd paid to see this at the cinema and not got COVID, I would probably not be too upset. But watching on Netflix, I think it's worth it. It, like I said, watching it the first time really irritated me. That weird music, man, it pissed me off, as you can see. And I would still recommend, though. Yeah, go and watch it. It's a good laugh. I see that they've been given a green light to make a second movie, which doesn't really take much with Netflix because Another Life has been given a second season. God damn that! Stay the fuck away from that show. It's not worth it. It really isn't. Why Netflix? Anyway, this is not bad. I mean, it was a $70 million budget, which is quite a whack of money, as a matter of fact. And Netflix is really making it rain when it comes to these big sort of productions, which is why it's so weird they didn't polish it. Having that weird camera thing going on, having bad music, pretty poor plot. But again, Netflix, let's make it rain. 70 million. And the second one will be out whenever. Charlize Theron was great. And that's me, I suppose. I've run out of wine now. I better go and find some more. And I'll catch you guys later. I think my next one's going to be Warrior Nun. Warrior Nun, that sounds like shit. Or is it? Catch you later.